怒りを叫べ悲しみを叫べ魂を叫べ今ここで叫べ
What's up, everybody? Welcome once again to the Yokai Delinquents podcast. I am Sean, Bearded Kappa Litton.
And I am Jerry Robo Tengu Smith. How's it going this week?
Oh, tiring, exhausting, questioning why I do anything and everything. So not bad. How about you?
Pretty good. Took the little kitty to a little appointment. I don't have the normal Monday blues like most people do because I actually have that day off, so I have Tuesday blues instead because I have to work on Saturdays. So that's fun.
It all balances out.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So I guess dive right into it. What do you want to talk about today, Sean?
Well, I will kick it off with a show you have already watched and told me to check out. And as always,
yes.
I ignore and forego all requests and orders until it's been so long that I believe it's my idea. And,
of course, yeah.
It's just
I'm guilty of the same thing. So
yeah, I mean, literally, my wife will yell at me, and not yell. She never yells, but gotta sound like the married couple, right? Gotta lie. She'll be like, "I need this. We need to get this done. You should probably do this." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. I'll do it later." Then a week later, I'm like, "I should do this because I'm choosing to, because that's how I feel better about her always being right."
Yeah, no, it's essentially like once you fall asleep, she starts like subliminal messaging that to your brain by like saying it while you're sleeping.
Possibly, but I prefer it to be like, "This is your idea. This is my idea." that
right,
good old
right.
little meme. But you told me to check out a show on Netflix, a certain Korean horror film based off a Korean series based on a Korean manhwa called Sweet Home.
Yes.
And while I have not finished it, it has been a good ride. I've been I saw some reviews where people felt like the show kind of fell off quickly. I'm not getting that. While granted, I couldn't tell you any characters' names. Forgive me, but I think there's interesting character backgrounds. There's, for the budget that they have, the monsters are very unique and interesting looking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got, this good classic horror as well as this good, person drama. Because it's essentially, for those who don't know, it takes place in a giant Korean apartment. I call it giant because I ain't got an apartment complex with any daycare center and a convenience store built into it. Like this is at that fucking apartment complex from the Dread movie or the
right.
Or you know what I mean? Like this is like it's a pretty big spot. And although we're kind of getting into it where I'm at, but I don't want to give any spoilers for those out there because it's still available on Netflix in America, obviously. So I don't want to get into, but we are kind of. I'm just now maybe understanding what's going on. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, you got a lot of eccentric, different characters. We got our main character, his family. He lost his family. He's very loner, very suicidal, all kind of stuff like that, and meets the wacky cast of apartment goers, and then we have all this. You're like, okay, well, say you didn't know what it was about. Someone's like, hey man, just watch this, just put it on. It looked like kind of like maybe a down and out teen, maybe meeting people who could change his life. And in a sense, that's correct. But unfortunately, those people are monsters. Literally, we get that extremely tall guy with the long tongue monster that starts killing people, and just like the infections are spreading. And you get, no, it's not infection, but kind of give it a simple description so we don't spoil too much in case our listeners want to go out and check it out. Because I would highly recommend it. But high production, great acting, even from the kids. Of course, every horror thing you got to have kids when there's a group. And these kids, like even my wife, who just came in on episode 5 and started sitting down with me, as she do. she jumps in the middle and I gotta explain everything. Uh, and she's like, that little boy is a tremendous actor. I was like, I highly agree. Now there is a dub. I actually start admittedly because of my schedule and everything I got going on because I put way too many projects on myself. I was gonna listen. I was gonna watch it in English so I could kind of maybe do my drawings or work on whatever I'm working on. And it wasn't necessarily a bad dub, but I was already so invested. I'm like, nah, getting the Korean going. Let's do this.
Right.
I'm not afraid of I'm not afraid of the subtitle, but cause, I wasn't sure I was going to get into it, and I'm almost immediately was drawn in. So I was like, okay, this is good stuff. Because not every, even damn good friends like we are, you recommend stuff. It doesn't mean I'm always going to get into it. I've recommended stuff that you took 10 years to watch Bakuman. So, I mean, it's, it's, you never know. You know what I mean? Just because you're good friends, you're not always going to like it. So, I didn't know if I was going to get into this one. Man, I'm glad I did because it's been super enjoyable.
Yeah. And it's actually, like you said, it's a manhwa. And this is kind of coming from like all of the good, like, television and anime deals that Webtoons has been having lately, because they just made an anime for God of High School and Tower of God, and then they also have I can't remember if it's a live action show or movie, but for Lore Olympus, they have some content for that coming soon too, and I know people rave about that. So it was kind of cool to find out. Sweet Home was one of the manhwa that they publish on the Webtoon app. Right. So, if you want to see more of that story and everything, you could, go on over to that app and just pick up where it left off. I haven't read a whole lot of it. I started it, and it, you definitely see all the similarities and everything with the monsters and like the plot of him moving into this place. So yeah, I just can't wait to see what else we get from that, and just being able to dive right in. And like Webtoons is a free app and everything. You can just jump on it and start reading from there, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, once I wrap this season up, there's a good chance I'll reinstall Webtoons. Because here's my thing: I've started several different of the manhwa. Trying to pick up Tower of God because I fell off the anime of it and wanted to continue. Got a high school. Maybe it's my phone. Most likely my phone. I don't buy high end stuff. I don't know. The app does act screw you sometimes. Like sometimes it'll load. Yeah. It'll load fine. Other times it'll just sit there and just like process the next panel for way long and it just takes me out of reading it. But I would still recommend it people out there who get on your computer, get on probably your better phone than what I have, out there, and check out. There's a world of it's legal. I'm sure there's ways you could pay for stuff. It's a good way to support the growing Korean manhwa thing. So I would definitely recommend that. And what I was going to say, like I remember when you first mentioned this to me, a little bit of a video game history here, because you mentioned like Sweet Home and it's horror. I'm like, oh, well, there's it's become popularized here recently through, of course, emulation because it never came over. But the original Nintendo had a horror game that is credited as one of the first survival horror games, and it's called Sweet Home. You have a group of investigators going into a haunted house, and granted, you have the limitations of the original Nintendo. But I mean, you had like the different dealing with the ghosts, having like a 3-man team and kind of as your lives because they could each get taken out. And so I was like, oh, is this an adaptation of that? And then you explained that it was based on the manhwa. I was like, well, that's still very cool. But I was like, man, imagine like, wow, that's a deep cut if they were pulled an old Famicom game, like not even Nintendo technically. You know what I mean? This never left Japan.
Right. Yeah. It was really cool, and like just on the manhwa aspect of it, it's pretty cool to be able to have translated stuff from there. Actually, I don't know. They might put a lot of their stuff in English and in Korean. But the most unique thing about it, and something that I really liked whenever I started reading Tower of God, is instead of it being separate pages and swiping left to right, it's one long like kind of scroll. So you just
Mhm.
whenever you finish reading the panels you're on, you just kind of scroll down, and
Right.
it has the rest of the panels. And I don't know, I really enjoy that format. It saves you time from having to load multiple pages and stuff like that. I guess if you don't have like the greatest internet, or like you're not with a connection or something like that. You don't have
Yeah.
an internet connection.
Yeah.
But
And oh, sorry, sorry.
no, I was just gonna say the series is phenomenal. I really hope that they continue, because it seems like Netflix is starting to pick up a lot more like foreign shows and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, we're getting a lot more Korean and Japanese, and just a lot of like Asian like subtitled stuff, and it's just cool because I know back in the day, whenever you watch stuff on Netflix, you could actually go in and change your country that you were in to gain access to some of that other stuff. But of
Right.
course, it didn't always work for the best, because there were no subtitles, because they don't need subtitles over there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm so glad we're getting a lot of that stuff now.
Oh yeah, and they've definitely expanded. Yeah, because like I mean, Korean dramas themselves, K dramas, as they're effectively known, whatever known, uh,
Hmm.
they those are growing in popularity, and so now
Right.
like they've been getting, and we're getting some J drama too from Japan on Netflix. I think we may have mentioned that the Father of Light. I still have it queued up. I still not
Right.
the yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
about the son and the father who play Final Fantasy 14 together,
Hmm.
which is just I don't know why I haven't watched it yet, but it's
Right.
still there, not
And
gone anywhere.
and I mean, yeah, honestly, they've been like killing it. Like, I know you probably still haven't watched it, but I completely recommend the live action series for Erased. Like, it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
so good. Another one that I think came out around the same time as Sweet Home. I think I've recommended it as well. But it's based off of a manga, Alice in Borderland.
Yeah,
Um,
I've got
I,
it
I
queued up. That's the next
yeah.
on. That's my next venture after this.
Yeah, it's 100% like right up your alley. I actually kind of watch these back to back. Like, I finish Alice in Borderland. I'm like, God, what am I gonna do with myself now? And I was like, I think it actually brought up in my recommendation Sweet Home, because it's kind of like kind of the same vein, but not really. Like, Sweet Home, is more horror aspects, and Alice in Borderland's more kind of like survival, like things that like make you think. It
Okay.
kind of has that whole aspect of like survival games, where they
Ah.
they have to, yeah, they have to like play games, but they have to play them intelligently to survive to like the next round type thing. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it was a really good one. And then there's kind of like a little bit of a sci-fi element to it. It really almost made me think of Gantz with some of the things that they
Oh,
did in it, but yeah,
that's a
not
big.
not 100.
Yeah,
Not
I was gonna
100.
say that's a big nod because big a
Yeah,
fan that we are
yeah,
of Gams.
hmm
Now, if we want, I want to circle back for a second, back to
yeah.
manhwa, because I know
Hmm.
you've read a lot more than I have. So my question is this: all manhwa is designed in the way you mentioned earlier, how you scroll down. So the flow of panels are have that in
Hmm.
mind, at least from what I can tell.
Hmm.
Do you think that would
Um,
work in a traditional book format, or do you have some?
mm,
Do you feel a different way?
Uh, I don't know. So one of the big benefits of how manga is done and comic books are done is because you can get that huge, like, beautiful double page spread,
Right.
with like an intricate way of putting in panels and stuff like that. But one of the cool things about manhwa is it never like breaks the tension. Like, it just keeps moving,
Right.
and like, they'll have like a scene, and then like halfway down the page on the right side it'll be another one, and the word balloons will kind of like intersect in all of this, so you never really get a break in like what's happening. It's really cool how it works out and everything.
Yeah. And do you
So
think?
there's
Yeah. Oh, sorry, sorry.
go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, do you think that could translate to physical book publishing? Like, I assume I just haven't seen any
Hmm.
that I'm aware of have been
Right.
translated into like a physical book. I'm sure in Korea, but like I know, but maybe not. I don't know. Like you said, the Webtoon app is huge all over the world.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
they're not. I don't know if these have gotten any like if publications. Now, I could see like with Crunchyroll bringing them over here or distributing them, the animes and stuff of it. It may eventually happen, but I was always kind of curious when looking at them, like just because the way the layouts are and stuff is not like wholly different, but I feel like it. I don't know if it would read the same going page to page as
Yeah.
opposed to scrolling down.
I mean, looking into it, they do have printed copies of a lot of manhwa, and I think what they do is they do just kind of break it up as best they can. I mean, I'm assuming you probably might not get the same tone as just reading a whole chapter like straight down.
Right.
But I think what was the other one that Mike actually recommended to us? Was it Solo Leveling, maybe?
Oh
Um,
yeah. Like
yeah.
something like I the beginner or level 100 beginner dungeon, something like that. Yeah. I
Mhm.
forget the exact name, but I read a few chapters of it.
Yeah. So I think they have stuff of that, and they have solo leveling and everything. So there is definitely a lot to it. Oh, it was the advanced player of the tutorial tower.
There it is. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Next time I'm in my my local Barnes and Noble, I may I may have to actually check and see if there's any of the manhwa titles I recognize. Might grab one
Right.
up and see if it flows better for me. Because again, the app is
Yeah.
great. It's free.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's my phone. I usually read on the job on my lunches. That's usually my most reading time. So maybe
Mhm.
it may be that. I don't know. Just the app will work and then stop for me, but
Right.
hopefully not for everyone else. Obviously, you've read a bunch. I know you've
Oh
read a
yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
Tower of God, and you were telling me about these long before the animes came out. So,
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, and like Tower of God, I actually found before Webtoons was even an app.
oh,
Yeah. So, because I think the app hasn't been out for super long, but I mean, Tower of God's been going for quite a while. Like, I think at least 2012 or so. I'm not like, don't quote me on that or anything.
right,
You're
right.
gonna quote me on that, aren't you?
Quoted. It's literally in the
Yeah.
description of our video now.
um, but yeah, no, it actually looks like 2014, so not super long ago that one started.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's and I don't, thinking about it, and just kind of mild search online. It looks like that they have some stuff online that you can get from like Amazon and everything.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, and they just look like they come in your standard like manga format and everything. If they ever start printing Tower of God over here,
Yeah.
I will 100% start collecting that for sure.
Yeah. So, oh, okay. Well, here's something. If you don't mind me staying, if we
Hmm.
stay on the manga for a little while,
Hmm.
we got some upcoming shows
Yeah.
that we've already got some info on. We're probably going to say we're not going to get too deep into that right now,
Hmm. Hmm.
but you know what I'm talking about. For
Right.
those, we'll just at least give the title because we're going to get deeper into it on a different episode. The Tokyo Revengers has already caught my eye immediately, and there
Hmm.
is a manga. So of course, my first instinct is, well, let's see if it's over here.
Hmm.
Cause like, okay, well, I'll read it and then I'll definitely watch it. Cause like the premise alone has sold me.
Right.
It's available on Amazon, but only on
Oh.
Kindle. Only on Kindle.
Oh, dang.
I know, and it's like, okay, which I'm not opposed to reading digitally,
Yeah.
but if it's gonna be, and I didn't look at the price, admittedly. I just saw a Kindle edition. I kept scrolling looking for a physical, Tankobon there
Hmm.
in Japan, or the book, and
Hmm.
it's like my big problem with buying digital. I don't mind a digital service like the Shonen Jump app, where
Hmm.
you're paying and you have everything. But I don't want to pay $10 for a Kindle edition of a book. That's the same
Yeah.
price as a physical copy. And that might be my old
Right.
man me talking. But it's like, but it's like okay, but maybe. And I know I'm one person isn't going to make it. I'm sure there's going to be popularity when the show comes out if it's as good as it sounds. But it's
Hmm.
like, do we buy the digital to encourage them to make physical? Will that
Right.
even work? Again, I don't have a Kindle. I don't think anyone has Kindle anymore. I know there's Kindle apps and stuff for your phone,
Hmm.
but it's like I was like, oh, I was so disappointed. But like I know I'm much happier with like the all-in-one services like a Webtoons or like the Shonen Jump app. Like,
Yeah.
have you ever bought like a digital comic book or a digital manga where you're just buying
Uh,
like that trade? I'm not in that right now. I'm not into that.
yeah. I mean, so actually, whenever we went to Japan, I had already subscribed to the Shonen Jump app.
Right.
And one of the things that I did before we left is actually I think it was on my my Viz app. I bought because they're discounted, since it's not a physical copy and everything.
Oh.
But I got several volumes of Shaman King to read
Oh.
while we were over there. Yes.
Speaking of
So,
upcoming shows,
oh, I know, right? I
right,
am so ready for that.
right. But that'll be another episode. Another episode.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But
yeah,
yeah, and I mean for that one it kind of makes sense because at the time those were out of print and I just kind of wanted something mobile that I could do while we were on the plane or whatever. Or riding on trains and stuff like that.
right.
And I actually really enjoyed it. And also I've read I think 2 volumes of House of Five Leaves. I don't know if you ever checked that out, but I think they did a
Hmm.
season of it like a year or so ago.
That sounds vaguely
Um,
familiar, but I'm not remembering it.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting one. And then I did the first 2 volumes of Beastars because that's
Oh,
not available chapter to chapter. So that's
right.
that's how I originally found out about Beastars and read it.
Which was
Because I would just
another. Oh, sorry, I was just jumping in on you.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, which is another fantastic anime on Netflix, and
Yeah.
I would even say one of the better dubs out there. So
Hmm.
and that's the other thing too now, because I know some people like I'm especially old school because I'm old as hell, but you're also very traditional and old school. Like we do usually prefer to watch our anime in the native language with subtitles.
Right.
And that's because, while granted there's some standout dubs out there, even
Mhm.
in the earlier days, Trigun, Cowboy Bebop were some of my immediate
Mhm.
examples. And so, but we tend to kind of stay away because most people, and admittedly, not all dubs still are hit and miss here, but like they're starting to there's been some really damn good ones dropping lately, and what I've seen of them is on Netflix.
Mhm.
Like I said, Beastars is an excellent dub.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't even watched it in Japanese because when I put it on again, didn't know I was going to get into it or not,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh, I'm interested, and that's some really good acting. So I left it on, and now I've already watched it in Japanese, but I'm rewatching it so my wife can watch it in its whole entirety instead of just whenever she randomly came in. Is Demon Slayer, and
Oh
Demon
yeah.
Slayer has an excellent dub.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it in English.
Yeah. I do agree. I watched all of Beastars dubbed, and it is so good. And I mean, like, just that series in general.
Yeah.
Like, wasn't the person that did it wasn't their father like the person that did Baki the Grappler maybe
It's
or
Baki or One Punch Man, I think.
I think it was Baki,
Uh,
but
which is insane. Either way,
yeah.
they
Yeah.
go from wow, I'm the son of a famous action mangaka. What are you making about animal drama? And
Yeah.
excellently done. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, phenomenal.
Y- Yeah, yeah, and I mean, not just the art or subject matter and stuff like that, but like the intro and outro were so
Oh
good.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I will like, and it's one of those things, because Netflix always has that option to skip, and a lot of times I'll do that on shows and stuff that I'm watching.
Yeah,
There are a few exceptions though, and this was one of them. I was like, and I mean not just like the song in it because the song worked really well,
yeah,
but they like fully did up some fucking stop motion for this
yeah.
opening.
Yeah, that one
Yeah.
definitely stands out for me. Was that one? Uh,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's phenomenal opening. And that's like I said. Sometimes sometimes you do just want to get you can't wait and you have to watch the next episode. But yeah, sometimes you just let it ride. Enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, and kind of going back on the Shaman Kings thing, because they're going to be redoing that. They're going to be re-releasing the manga and not just like a limited release. Because
Oh,
before, whenever we were getting them, the anime was one of those that got cut short and they didn't have an ending for it, and then they didn't release all the manga volumes over here. I mean, I could get them through the app and everything digitally, but they didn't have the physical copies, so they're re-releasing all the physical copies over here and translating the end of them, and then we're getting the new anime for it. And if Netflix does that thing and comes out with a dub for it, I'll probably stick with the dub, because I don't know, I really like the original dub that they did for it. I am
oh, nice.
yeah, so for it, and so ready for it to be here.
Yeah, and like, I mean, contrary to a lot of like anime fans, sometimes like, I mean, I remember being there once I realized how to get Japanese subtitled anime in its original format, admittedly through nefarious means. This is well before the days of Crunchyroll and streaming anything. Just like, okay, do I take a chance and buy a $30 box set, or a $10, 2 or 3 episode DVD of a show
Oh god.
I don't know if I'll like? No, 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 no. I find it online, then I like it, and then I go buy the DVD. To be,
Right.
I justify my illegal activities that way.
Yeah.
And so but when you start watching only in Japanese, you start turning your nose up to dub, scoffing at you basic bitches in your English.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, good Lord, I appreciate a good English dub, because sometimes I can't do subtitles because I don't have time to stop everything and watch a show. And sometimes the show's
Right.
not even, I don't know how to put it, worth my time to pay attention to it. If you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
I can still get into
Yeah.
it, but it's like, you know what? I don't. It's okay, but I can still play Diablo and and follow along.
The thing that cracks me up is those people that like will complain about subtitles, like
Yeah.
not being able to keep up with subtitles in anime, but then like everything they watch on Netflix, they'll just put the subtitles on because they can't hear it. So it's like,
True.
why?
Yeah, I mean, we're so like I don't know if it's because honestly it was the House of August. Y'all y'all were the ones that first time I ever saw people watching English shows on Netflix with the subtitles on still. And
Man, that was all Lee and Cat. Like, but I mean, also it was like a really open space, and
Right.
I don't think the audio for the TV we were using was very good. But yes, that is 100% like subtitles on English stuff, and I think it was mostly because like, oh, we don't want to turn it up too loud, but like it's a house, so you don't
Yeah.
have the whole thing with apartments where like you have to worry about turning stuff up too loud. Like just fucking crank that shit.
Yeah, but granted, this is a house of 1,700 people living
Yeah.
together, so it's still almost an apartment, just on a single floor.
Right.
But
That's true.
now, like again, from watching so much, and I remember I can recall the first okay, maybe you can remember yours. I remember the exact anime that trained me to be able to read subtitles and follow along without missing a beat. And luckily, it was an easy one to start with. That was my VHS tapes that contained 2 movies, bootleg as hell, recorded off Laserdisc to VHS transfer, of Dragon Ball Z movies. And I got them when I lived in Florida for 5 miserable months. But there was 2 legit comic book stores, and they had a lot of Japanese bootlegs. And unfortunately, at the time, I was obsessed with Dragon Ball Z, so I'm sure there was a ton of anime I regret not buying from them. But I was just getting those. And the Brawly movie and the, I think Super Android 18 or something like that were like on one VHS tape, and I wore that damn tape out. So being able,
Yeah.
and that was like, I'd seen subtitled anime before then, but not as much. It would literally be like renting a tape from a store or buying one, not paying enough attention and realizing, oh, it's subtitled. I was still preferring dub because I couldn't do that. But I saw these and was like, this was the time where airing in America was the Frieza battle, where it was 13 million years before he finally turned Super Saiyan. And I just wanted to see Super Saiyans, and on the cover of them was like three of them. Like, yes, I'm getting this one. And watching that over and over, yeah, I got better at reading my subtitles, and which, granted, not like Dragon Ball Z had a deep plot or anything, but still,
Right.
it did help me. How about you? Do you happen to remember, like, maybe what was it that really got you going on that?
I don't remember what series it was, but like growing up, I was really bad at reading,
Right.
like fast enough to keep up with subtitles a lot of the time.
Right.
But I do remember. I don't know what it was that I was watching, because I borrowed some anime DVDs from a friend in like middle school or high school, and I would literally pause it each time they said something to like
Wow.
read it and then
Oh,
keep
yeah.
it going. Yeah,
I've heard
yeah,
others doing that. I've heard others do that, and I get it.
yeah,
Like, even if I didn't do well in, like, say, English class, I've always been
Right.
a reader. So, like,
yeah, man.
while it still wasn't, like, easy, because I would still have to
Mhm.
rewind sometimes, I
Mhm.
guess my eyes were trained to read the subtitle really fast and then look up and still
Yeah.
grasp it. But even now, sometimes I'll be watching, like, some little more complicated anime, and I
Mhm.
guess my old man brain's starting to rot now. So I'm like, hold up. What did they say? What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like ReZero, for those listening to this now who are watching the current ReZero, I've
Oh
a
yes.
lot of shit going down. Amazing shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
your boy got to rewind sometimes. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it was like that for me for a while. It's kind of funny though, and I have a friend, and I get their point, right? Like they won't watch stuff subtitled, like they only want stuff that's dubbed. If there's an anime out there, it doesn't matter how awesome it sounds, if it doesn't have it dubbed, then they're not going to check it out.
Right.
And their biggest reason for that is because, they love anime for the animation. Is their biggest thing. So like they want to enjoy and appreciate the animation without having to worry about paying attention to subtitles.
That's interesting. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can get that. Now, without knowing your friends, I'm assuming I don't know them.
No, you don't know this
Okay, so I don't know them, so this is just pure speculation based on what you just told me, so they can't get offended. Well, if they do, it's because
Well, I mean-
you're representing them poorly with their truth. That sounds to me like someone who doesn't watch deep anime. That sounds like someone who watches a lot of Dragon Ball Z. And
Not really, actually. Like they really liked the like all of the Gundam series and a lot of like the mech series, and there were even like mech series that I had never even heard about. Like they're very into like space operas.
are they
in that
into it
sense.
for the giant robot battles, or do they actually care
No.
about the intricacy of the politics and the wars that you should
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I stand corrected. That was me for assuming. Strangers who have never met and probably will never meet, I apologize. But you know where I was coming from on that.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I feel like people who don't like subtitles only watch fighting anime. You know what I mean?
Mhm. I can see it. I
Like,
can definitely
typically,
see it.
apparently I'm wrong. Times they are changing, and my old boomer ass is like, is falling behind. But yeah, to me, it was like, because early on, that's all I wanted. I just looked for, if it was subtitled, only like rented them from Hastings, I wouldn't pick up anything that sounded like it actually had like a story, a real deep story to it. I wanted ninjas and martial arts,
Right.
and which it actually got me is one of my favorite series. I'm pretty sure I'm certain I've talked about it here on one of the episodes. Was Ranma Half.
Right.
I got the first one because it said martial arts comedy. Like, hell, I love Jackie Chan. That sounds right up my alley. And it was in the English dub. So like, okay, rented the first volume of it. Like, okay, had like 3 episodes. I enjoyed that. There was fighting, kung fu, and some boobs. And there was like, okay, 13-year-old me was excited. Okay, and like, all right, I'm gonna get the next one. Which of course they didn't have volume 2. They had like volume 6, whatever. And that's not even out. Just that's all they had. They had random ass numbers back then, and I rented
Yeah.
it and subtitled only.
Yeah. Yay.
Like it was, and so I was like, okay. I can do this. Granted, it's Rama. It's like, oh, Akane's mad at Rama. Oh, got splashed with water. Fight, comedy, funny. So it wasn't super deep, but I was still avoiding subtitles at that time because I hadn't watched a lot of foreign cinema. Hadn't really, and definitely hadn't watched any foreign cartoons. This was my dawning of anime into my life. So of course we were only looking for English. Once I learned, on the back it says English dub, or not dub. They wouldn't say dub. It'd be like English audio or English language. Because this is still the time where the VHS tapes of anime said Japanimation on the section. You know what I mean?
Japanimation.
This is way back in the day. But yeah, this has been quite a journey learning through anime, but learning the subtitles. So I guess circle all the way back. Either you like dub or you prefer the subtitles. Now there's some damn good dub, and yeah, I think it doesn't matter which way you enjoy anime, just as long as you're enjoying anime. Really is the bottom line of it. But like I said, if I hear a good dub, for me, because I'm still kind of stuck in the era of bad dubbing, real cheap, quick dubbing. I'm like, oh, I got to tell the world. I got to tell everybody about an excellent English dub. And what's cool is, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I just have something after that.
Yeah, I was gonna wrap up the dub talk with. I said I am watching the dub with my wife on Demon Slayer, just because it's kind of easier. We're both tired after work. We don't always want to read. But like the cool thing when I met my wife Vanetta and I got her watching anime is she speaks 3 languages, so it's not she's definitely not troubled by subtitles, but like she's already used to those, so it was a natural. It was nothing for her to jump into it, so it was very cool in that matter.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that I was going to bring up, and I was going to pull us right back into the sub-dub talk, but instead of anime, for a live-action series.
Oh, okay.
Because, I mean, for me, honestly, anytime I watch a live-action series, I can't watch it dubbed. Yeah. It just drives me up the wall to, like, the mouths not match and everything. Right. I remember, I think it was 3 years ago or so, a new series hit Netflix called Dark. It's, like, kind of like a... sci-fi drama per se. Okay. I'm not exactly sure, but anyway, I'm sitting here watching this show, and I'm like, why does this seem so weird? And I think I had it like, a lot of times Netflix will put the top language will be what the dub is for it,
right?
And I think for that at the time it was like French, so I was like, okay, and then I was like, this still isn't seeming right. And then finally I saw like a sign in the background. It was in German. I was like, son of a bitch. So I watched like the first 2 episodes in French for no reason at all. But oh man, like, yeah, I've gotta have that like lip sync like matched up, as far as like what language they're speaking and everything when I watch any kind of live action series, especially if it's like, a series that's based off of a manga or something like that. It just kind of breaks the tension for me sometimes, or the fantasy or whatever, whenever it's like kind of off like that, which is funny because you can't. It's kind of hard to match up dialogue. Well, I guess it's easier to match up dialogue in anime, right? Because their mouths are moving a certain way, so you could just throw in like whatever you want, essentially.
Yeah, it's the basically like in most anime, like your average TV anime, most mouth flaps are all of like maybe 3 frames, so it's a lot easier to kind of time it that way.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things. Like, what do you kind of think like whenever you watch something live action? Like, do you prefer like dubs, or does it matter to you, or what?
It depends on the style of live action. Like, again, Sweet Home, it wasn't just that, like, oh, I'm interested, so I want to see this original context. It wasn't working for how serious it was, where you're not distracted by, because at that time, the monsters hadn't shown up, so it's just literally we're meeting the characters. So I think it's more noticeable that way, and it's definitely not preferable. Now you take, I grew up in the era of the, the kung fu flicks. where it
Mhm.
was all British people doing poor dubs over Chinese martial arts, and they're
Mhm.
and so you're used to that. So for me, like comedies and martial art films, I can
Mhm.
do. Like if we just don't want to read, we just want to watch. I'm showing it to someone who maybe not like to read. I don't mind as much then. Like and like comedies have worked weirdly enough too. That movie Drop. I know I've shown you on. I'm sure we've talked. I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure we talked about it maybe on episode 1, talking about delinquents, a fantastic
Mhm.
delinquents dramedy. But the
Mhm.
comedy enough. I'm pretty sure when I showed it to you, we watched it in Japanese. But like I also watched it in dub, and with it being having a lot of humor in it, for some reason I didn't mind. It doesn't bother me as much. But
Mhm.
like, yeah, but like if I'm watching like a drama and apparently even horror, because like I said, I couldn't really stick with Sweet Home in its dub form. I think, and like I'm trying to think if I've watched much. Like, yeah, I don't think I've really watched a serious Asian film. Normally it'd be Asian film. I've watched a few, European films, but like,
Mhm.
yeah, like I'm trying to think if I had watched anything in dub. No, because I think if it's a serious movie, I'd rather watch it with subtitles. Because I'd rather
Mhm.
hear. I don't want to hear a disassociated voice over the mouth. I'd rather just go ahead and hear the inflection and the tone of the original
Mhm.
actor with being able to read. With just reading
Yeah.
it what it is, I think you get more out of it that way. But I think less so
Mhm.
in like just a straight up, martial arts like action film and
Mhm.
certain comedies, as long as the humor type translates, which is a big problem
Yeah.
with Japanese humor. It
Yeah.
really like you can't replicate it when you're trying to worried about matching a dub. You have more time when you're trying to translate it into just text. I think works a lot better for a certain like because with Japanese specifically, they love their word play and their puns and how to pronunciate and enunciate little differences like that. So I don't think dubbing works as well with that all the time.
Yeah, and actually, like with you mentioning that, I remember that I think the first time I went and watched Old Boy, I think I watched it in English, and it was a little hard to follow, and so then I, switched it back to the original language, and I was like, yes, all right, this makes more sense now with a lot of this,
Right. Yeah,
because
and oh boy,
yeah,
I sorry, jump in. I disagree, and yeah, I think I had the exact same experience with
hmm
it. Which I don't remember it being a bad dub, but
hmm
it feels off. You know what I mean?
hmm
Uh,
yeah.
when and again, I think it depends on the seriousness or the type of story you're watching.
hmm Yeah, yeah, it definitely makes a little bit of a difference depending on the tone overall and everything, and I guess like however the person that's dubbing it is capturing it. Um,
Right.
so that's I wonder I think we've probably brought this up before, but in Japan, do you think whenever they got like the Avengers over there or anything, do you think they're like, oh, let's watch it subtitles. I don't want to watch it, dubbed or whatever.
I don't know. That's actually a really good
Yeah.
question because I know like whenever we watch new anime or I watch a live action Japanese show, I tend to like just look up the actors, see if I happen to recognize like an inflection of their voice or something. I look them up,
hmm
and a lot of
hmm
like big anime actors are also the dub
hmm
actors for American or just any Western film to come into
Yeah.
Japan. So with as high regard as they have for anime, obviously, and those actors, it wouldn't surprise me if they prefer dub. But I'm sure there's a level. I mean, there's snobs everywhere, right? They're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh no, no, no! I only watched Age of Ultron in the original English language with the katakana below, like you're supposed to, you peasant.
I really want to watch it dubbed now. Now that I think about it, I'm
Oh,
like,
here the
yeah.
yeah, because I'd be like,
hmm hmm
mine are now like I don't know like the immediate examples, but like you could literally be watching the Avengers and Thor walks up and it's Zorro from One Piece. You know what I mean? Because like they get a lot of work that way. And
hmm
like there's
Oh
some
yeah.
I forget. Oh, of course, I can't think of it right now. But there's like a well-known voice actor who is like the official. Anytime they bring over like a Mel Gibson film, he's his voice in every single film. So you
Hmm.
get kind of some quality that way too. I would say over in Japan because there might be a few cases where one actor is always dubbing that actor.
Yeah, yeah. No, I could definitely see it. I'm actually looking up Zoro's voice actor right now, and unfortunately he has not
Hadn't done it.
done anyone
Yeah.
from the Avengers.
Like I said, I
There's
can't think of it, but there's. Oh, sorry. I'm jumping.
no, you're perfectly fine. Yeah, no, you're just giving me time and
Oh,
fuel to look this up.
yeah. No, I'm sure there's like, and even if it's not necessarily anime voice actors, maybe it's some
Mhm.
of their actual live action actors, or just like, because I know there's somebody who's like, like if it's like Beat Takashi, for example, guy who did Battle Royale, and he was like the teacher who told him the rules and stuff. He's a well-known actor, comedian, and director, and I think like
Mhm.
maybe he's always been like say the voice of Tom Cruise or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
You get those actors who will do the dub and will continuously do the dub for one actor, regardless of what movie franchise or what film studio made it. They'll kind of do it like that. I think that's very cool because at least even if
Yeah,
it's not the native language, it's that same familiar voice putting out the performance every time.
yeah. I've actually found somebody, and I'm not sure. Let's see. I think he's only done Zoro's voice for a couple of things. Like he's not in the main series.
Okay.
But the greatest thing about this is apparently he also voices over anything with Jack Black.
Oh, well, there you go.
Uh,
At least an
yeah,
example of it. Yeah.
yeah. He does Jack Black, Sean William Scott, Cuba Gooding Jr. So that's interesting, and Charlie Chaplin. So
Wow. Okay.
we've got a bit of a range here. Yeah. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
I dig
yeah.
that.
That actually be very interesting to see if like I doubt they're over here. We have to probably use some kind of VPN, as we mentioned earlier, like with Netflix, to change your region. That would be very cool though to find examples of, like, say, Japanese dubs for American movies and see if like, oh, do I recognize that guy? Do I recognize that woman?
Right.
Because it's got to be, like find that movie by heart, so you can see like, oh, they changed the tone of that delivery, or like,
Hmm.
and because there's again like us, like we're always like subtitles are clearly superior to dub. That's because we can't
Right.
tell if that actor in Japanese is a shitty actor.
Yeah.
We don't know. We only read it and we pick up inflection. You know,
Hmm.
like we could be like, oh my god, Erased. It's one of our favorites. We watched it in Japanese. It was phenomenal. It was emotional. The characters were engaging. Cut over to Japan. That was like the worst child acting we've ever heard in an anime. This show is shit because it's terribly acted. But we're sitting here just hearing them talk, and we're like, they're brilliant because we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah. There's another one that I found that was Koichi Yamadera.
No.
His most known roles are Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop,
Ah.
Togusa and Ghost in the Shell, Ryoji from Evangelion, and Jubei from Ninja Scroll.
Right.
I've got a great list here of American voices that he does. Crap, I gotta find it again.
No.
Um, okay, yeah, no. Here you go. Here you go. Oh my God, there's so many. So, Jim Carrey, Brad Pitt,
Wow.
Jean Claude Van Damme, Charlie Sheen, Will Smith, Michael J. Fox, Tom Hanks, Chris Tucker, John Hamm, Michael Keaton, Wesley Snipes, Denzel Washington, Mike Myers, Tom Cruise, Woody Harrelson. He also did some Charlie Chaplin and Eddie Murphy. This
Wow.
dude has dubbed over there's some John Travolta in here, some Gary Oldman. He did Chris Pratt in all of the Marvel stuff.
And
Yeah.
that's like the crazy thing too is like it's not just like say action roles. Like you're talking
Hmm.
from Jim Carrey to Wesley Snipes, one
Yeah.
guy.
It's funny because I actually looked up like who does Jim Carrey's VA in Japan, and
Right.
like it looks like he's done the majority of his movies. It actually looks like yep, pretty much. Um, think I see every nope. He's even got number 23 in here. Yeah, so
Wow.
he's
Yeah.
done. He did not do the Ace Ventura movies. It looks like, but
Hmm.
just about everything else it
Yeah.
does.
So, but it is showing that they do like consistently, at least try to, if not always, get the same actor for the same person,
Yeah,
basically. So that's
yeah.
to me that's
Hmm.
kind of cool. If you're gonna go that route, that you would
Hmm.
always like. I mean, we kind of got that in the '90s. Every damn show had Spike Spiegel in the English fact of voice actor. Because
Right.
kind of the Leonardo DiCaprio meme of pointing whenever you hear, oh, I can't think of his name now, but one of the biggest English anime voice actors in general,
Oh, you're talking about Stephen Bloom?
Stephen Bloom. Thank you. Anytime
Yeah.
any show, you're like Steve Bloom, Rebels, Steve Bloom.
Hmm.
You know, Steve Bloom doing a British accent. you know,
Hmm.
so like, yeah, I imagine it's got to be kind of the same for them. That's very cool.
Yeah, yeah. So that's interesting. That was a fun little journey that we went on there.
We did, and we are nearing our time, so it's quite the journey. Uh,
Yeah.
anything quick you want to go, or we can? I think had a great discussion about a
Uh,
variety of topics.
well, I mean, since we brought up the Marvel stuff towards the end of the dubbing and everything, we already did our WandaVision
Yeah,
breakdown and everything, so I don't want to go into it too much. But they did just drop the assembled the making of WandaVision
right,
on Disney Plus. And Sean and I actually like I think we both just watched it. Like I messaged you and I was like, dude, if you haven't seen this, watch it now. And you're like, I just started that.
right. Yeah, it
Um,
was same day,
yeah,
without no, not
and
planned.
yeah, yeah. And oh my gosh, it made the show so much better.
It's
Like
very
it was
cool.
already
Yeah,
phenomenal. Yeah. Just like I mean, and it's literally like one of the first things they brought up, but in the first episode they had a live studio audience. Like, are you kidding me? That's amazing.
yeah.
That's so cool.
And they went the
Um
extra mile too, and like 'cause
yeah.
I don't recall that episode like cutting to the audience, but they
Hmm.
still dressed him in the 1950s attire.
Yeah. Yeah, and had the seating and everything kind
Yeah.
of like that too. They like oh, it was so great. And it was just like this cool thing of them getting to talk about like going through all of these time frames. Like, you have actors and actresses that are like, oh, I've always wanted to do this kind of thing,
Right.
and this kind of thing, and like just the range and amount of stuff that they got to do during this series. Like they got to play through television through the decades, and they got to basically perform in front of a live studio audience and everything. And yeah, it just sounded like a lot of fun, and it seemed like they really enjoyed making it.
Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah.
one of the big things for me too on that was, 'cause, you can tell these actors are having a great time. I mean, you're getting to work for Marvel, and a lot of them maybe were or weren't fans beforehand. But the interview with, of course, I'm going to go blank on her name, but she plays Monica Rambeau in the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. She like I felt genuine excitement when she was talking about her audition process and getting the
Right.
role. Like she seemed like legitimately excited to be a part of a Marvel franchise now and a big character
Hmm.
and what's probably going to end up being an important character. So I think
Yeah.
that was actually very cool as well as like you said production on the episodes. I thought
Hmm.
when they talked to the two people that made the music, that was really
Hmm.
cool. How
Yeah.
they wanted to make sure that one certain tone was always in every single theme song.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
so cool.
it's very cool.
Uh,
It's out there on Disney Plus now. If y'all have
Yeah.
watched all of WandaVision, I would wait. Don't watch it before because they do
Oh,
get into
right.
later
Right.
episodes.
Hmm.
It's a very cool look at a lot of cool shit when to make it an amazing series. So
Hmm.
yeah, and they're supposed to be doing these with like all the upcoming shows. So
Oh yeah,
I'll
yeah.
be
I
looking
am.
forward to them.
Well, I mean, and it's funny because they've probably been sitting on them for half a year now because most of the stuff was supposed to release like fall of last year. So,
Right, right. For sure. Which next week, as of time of this recording on 3/15/2021,
Mhm.
we are getting Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Right, yeah. So, it'll be last Friday because it's
Yeah.
this Friday that we're recording
Right,
because
right.
today's Monday. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, but
So,
yeah, the
so
next, yeah, next, the yeah, we're getting Falcon Winter Soldier very soon. So be ready to hear us talk about
yeah.
that. I'm
Oh
certain.
man.
I'm very
Oh
hyped for
yes.
that. But
Yes,
I,
yes, yes. Oh, also, and we get the Snyder cut of Justice League, so we probably won't talk about that at
so
all.
if you've
Like we're
liked
just gonna
everything except the Snyder cut that we brought up in today's episode, no, legit, you brought it up, so we're gonna real quick on that. Yeah, I didn't like Justice League. I haven't liked
Oh yeah,
much of Snyder's work since I'd say Watchmen and Sucker Punch. Just
yeah,
what he's
yeah.
been doing with DC. I haven't really seen much outside
Mhm.
of that. But I'm gonna watch the Snyder cut
Yeah.
because I do understand studios can interfere in films. That's why director cuts are
Mhm.
released and they're usually better. I'll tell you my hand up right now, and I will take it back if I'm wrong. It just feels like he really piled on the blame to
Mhm.
everybody, the studio, Joss Whedon, the actors. Like he was like, I couldn't make my vision. So this motherfucking film, I'm not expecting a masterpiece because I still saw what he wanted to do with with what did come out. But
Mhm.
I'm going in and I do hope it's a better version.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Snyder's got to shut the fuck up for the rest of his career.
Yeah, and like, here's the thing for me. I'm not gonna watch the original one. I didn't watch the original one. I probably won't watch the original one, but I guess I'll go and watch this one just so we can talk about it on here.
Well, yeah, and
I'm
that's
but
fine.
I'm not gonna like it.
Well, look, like that's good though.
I'm just kidding.
You'll
Yeah,
have a fresh
yeah,
perspective. You'll just take the Snyder
mhm,
cut for what it is with no basis of
yeah,
comparison. While
yeah.
I'm honestly, I do plan to, although I've been saying it for weeks and I still haven't done it, because HBO Max has the extended cut of the original
Mhm,
version on there, and I said I was going to watch that before I watched the Snyder cut, so I have a
mhm.
complete refreshed Justice League in my head with like basically a director cut before we get the director cut. You know what I mean?
Dang,
But
dang, bro, you're gonna throw 5 hours of your life away on that? No, I'm
probably
just kidding.
not. But I have goals and ambitions I never
Yeah,
follow
yeah,
through on, and this may be one of them. But I'm definitely watching Snyder Cut because
right.
again, I've shat on Justice League for so long, and I've heard him blame everybody but himself. And like I said,
Right.
I've enjoyed Snyder in the past. But like his DC work has not been his best work in my opinion, and he blames the studio. Now since
Mhm.
it almost feels like the same studio is letting him do this, or like, all right, bitch, let's see what you got. You
Yeah.
need to refilm 4 hours of it? Okay, that's a good sign. Reshoots are always the best, right?
Right.
All right.
Sure.
Well, on that super positive note, thank y'all very much for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please give us a like. Give us a comment what you feel about subtitles, Sweet Home, Justice League, I guess. Any of the topics we discussed. And we did bounce around quite a bit, but that's what I enjoy about our talks. And as always, share the video. And yeah, we will catch y'all next time.
Peace.